We measure human knowledge by what remains: books, inscriptions, monuments. But what if the greatest archive ever conceived was erased before it could be properly recorded? What if the intellectual giants of antiquity built vast libraries, not just of texts, but of mechanisms, archives of energy, systems of geometry and frequency? And what if these repositories were systematically hidden from our collective memory? Tonight, we trace the ghostly corridors of what I call the shadow library repositories of lost knowledge that the victors of history chose to bury, fold into myth, or destroy entirely. Consider ancient sites where inscriptions speak of vectors of sound, resonant halls, and vibrating stones. For centuries, scholars have dismissed these as poetic metaphors. But look closer. Across Mesopotamia, India, Central America, and Egypt, a clear pattern emerges. Architectural designs show libraries integrated with energy flows, rooms placed where the very stone resonates, and hidden conduits behind bookcases that once held not scrolls, but devices. Fragments of this knowledge survived by pure chance, hidden in temple walls, remote caves, and manuscripts that escaped the flames. In the sands of Egypt, beneath the feet of unsuspecting tourists, lies a subterranean chamber whose acoustics are tuned to a specific frequency, 432 Hz, frequency many obscure theorists associate with harmony and healing. In Central America, surviving codices portray towers with concentric rings and spheres connected by lines, looking eerily like modern electrical diagrams. And in the Himalayas, legends speak of a vault of light, a place where sages preserved knowledge of interplanetary mechanics, bridges made of sound, and living geometry. So why were these incredible archives hidden? The answer, as it so often is power. A society that holds the key to energy beyond fire, geometry beyond simple stone cutting, and systems beyond feudal control, is a direct threat to the power structures that followed. Emperors, conquerors, and institutions knew that to control the future, they first had to control the past. So they burned libraries, they rewrote texts, they shattered machines, and they erased the names of the brilliant minds behind them. They curated the catalogue of human achievement to fit their narrative, a simple, linear progression from ignorance to enlightenment. But this narrative ignored a crucial part of the story: a cycle of brilliance, a catastrophic fall, and a slow, painful recovery. The Shadow Library is the ghost of that erased tradition. Today, we're finally starting to peel back the layers of dust. Using ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR mapping, and digital reconstruction, we're locating hidden rooms beneath derelict monasteries and corridors where bookcases were torn out, leaving behind stone floors worn down by what look like wheeled trolleys that once carried heavy devices. At one site, walls that were supposedly lined with scrolls appear to have housed sliding panels, revealing chambers behind them, a library on the surface, a laboratory underneath. At another, a vaulted ceiling contains abandoned conduits embedded deep within the stone, too precise and regular to be merely decorative, running into niches that once likely held coils of metal. We can even read some of the surviving inscriptions. When the tone rings, the form shifts. The archivist opens the key. This suggests the archivist may have been an engineer priest, and the key, it may have been vibration itself. What happens when precise vibration aligns with a purpose-built structure? When energy flows through architecture? We don't fully know. But the traces are undeniable. Abandoned sites, libraries emptied of their true contents, towers stripped of their spires, and manuscripts intentionally rewritten. And we can see the consequences of this loss all around us. Humanity may have lost not just incredible machines and towers, but the very habit of reading our environment as a library. We lost the ability to see the stone, the field, the sky, and our own structures as interconnected parts of a living system. Our modern libraries speak of data, not energy. Our technology uses scripts, not resonance. Could we rediscover that older paradigm? Could the Shadow Library still be whispering to us, through the ruins, through vibrations we haven't yet learned to hear? When we map the alignments of ancient temples and towers, we find that many are built on lines of geomagnetic anomaly features, not explained by modern geology. but clearly recognized and utilized by the ancient builders. When we scan the stone blocks in ruined halls, we detect traces of machining far beyond the expected capabilities of their era, with flatness tolerances that rival modern industrial tools. And when we explore the few texts that escaped destruction, we find direct references to oscillation chambers, a planetary grid, and a harmonic matrix. These are not fantasy, they are technological hints. Yet, the official story we're told is that after antiquity came a long dark age, and only then did the light of progress return. The alternate reading of history is that there was an incredible light, then a catastrophic fall, and then a new light began to dawn. And during that fall, the librarians of the old world sealed their machines, buried their knowledge, and walked into myth, becoming the stuff of legend. The consequence is that we now inhabit a world where the physical form is dominant texture over resonance, transaction over vibration, data over frequency. The shadow library remains as an invitation to remember, an invitation to change our metaphor from machine to resonance, from data to a field of energy, from text to a living pattern. But we have to ask ourselves, what would we do if we actually rediscovered this archive? Modern institutions might shudder at the idea of technologies freed from the control of a select few. Imagine energy without cost, or resonance without massive infrastructure. Those who suppressed the old libraries did so because true knowledge is freedom. If the shadow library is ever fully reopened, the global balance of power will shift irrevocably, and perhaps that is the very reason it was hidden in the first place. The temples, towers, and scrolls we are now uncovering are not mere curiosities, they are keys. The descent into these hidden archives is not just an archaeological quest, it's a philosophical one. It challenges our core assumption that we evolve in a straight line, that progress is inevitable, and that the future is always more advanced than the past. It forces us to consider that we may simply be rediscovering what we once knew. And if so, what responsibility comes with that recognition? Each stone we expose, each conduit we trace, each symbol we decode is a step toward reclaiming a lost tradition of resonance, energy, and design. But with that reclamation comes a need for caution. The greatest archive is not just technology, is wisdom, ethics, and alignment with the natural world. The librarians of antiquity may have sealed their machines not just to protect them from others, but to protect others from them. They may have known what happens when incredible power meets human hubris. And so, we approach their legacy with both wonder and caution. If this story resonates with you, if you feel the call to uncover what has been hidden, leave a comment below. Share your theory, your fear, your vision. Subscribe and join the search. Because the echoes of the shadow library persist, and humanity may yet learn to read their pages, if only we learn to listen.